Good evening. This is the Littleton Board of Health meeting, Wednesday, September 9th. Just have to read the Zoom rules. The town of Littleton began conducting remote participation Zoom meetings pursuant to Governor Baker's emergency order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law on March 19th, 2020. Since that time, unanticipated legal concerns related to the open meeting law have been brought to our attention by the town clerk. Those concerns are supported by the Attorney General's office and confirmed by town council. One concern is that the chat function allows a parallel text conversation to the board's public meeting. Chat is essentially running commentary that is occurring but is not moderated or followed by the chair. All participants and listeners may not be aware of the comments being made because some meeting participants join by phone and do not see these conversations. Other concern is conversations between residents within the chat room which are not incorporated into public record. In response to these concerns, the town will implement the following changes, which in no way prohibit any member of the public from participating in discussion and sharing information during a public meeting, and will ensure that all listeners and participants have equal access to this meeting. People that join Zoom meeting are set so their microphones are muted. If you call in by phone, please use *69 to mute or unmute your phone so that the meeting can occur in an orderly fashion. We ask that people who join keep their microphones on mute so background noises do not interfere with the meeting. If you wish to participate in the meeting, please use the raise your hand function available on Zoom, or if you called in by phone, dial *9, which will activate the raise your hand function. The chairperson will notify the meeting host will notify the chairperson of the raised hands. The chairperson will determine whether and when to allow public comment. When called upon, participants should unmute and state their name and address. And after speaking, we request that the participant return their microphone back to mute. So I just wanted to start off by saying we have an agenda item this evening regarding 55 Dahlia Way. So Janet, are there any hands raised?
There are not. We do have a couple of people who have called in and just are showing their telephone number. Is there a way we can find out who those folks are so we can type in your name?
How about if I just say this, that if your questions are not concerning the public hearing of 53 Dahlia, then lower your hands. All right, so do we have, it's 7 o'clock, should have the public hearing regarding 53 Dahlia. Is anybody here for that?
I don't recognize David Schofield's name there. If you called in, David, and are on a telephone number, can you raise your hand at this point? Is anybody in the attendees here for 53 Dahlia? Could you please raise your hand?
You have a hand that's raised now by one of the phone attendees.
You're muted. Can you unmute yourself and state your name and address?
I'm okay. Can you hear me?
Gina, we're referring to someone else who's trying to speak.
Okay.
That person has not unmuted their hand, who has raised their hand. Now we go. There's
Hello?
Hello.
Hello, I'm the owner of 53 Dahlia Drive.
Great.
State your name, please.
Oh, well, the owner is Mary Machado. I'm her son, James.
Okay.
Mary's here also.
Are you expecting that David Schofield is going to attend tonight?
Yes, we were expecting that.
Okay, I did, Lisa, I did email with him earlier this afternoon and made sure he received the Zoom information. but I don't,
Okay, I looked at, let's see, I opened up the PDF numerous times, but the link does not work. I could not get onto Zoom. That's why I'm on the phone as opposed to Zoom.
James, can you call him and see if he's coming? I have his number on one of the emails. You have it? You probably have it.
Oh, you got your phone?
I'm sorry?
I'm having my mother grab her cell phone.
Okay. Oh, okay. Not sure who you're talking to.
okay. Do you want to, Lisa, do you want to go ahead and do some of the administrative matters and give it?
Sure. Jim Greffy, you have anything for us tonight for COVID update?
So obviously the states continue to come out with additional information. We are seeing district-wide, not so much Littleton, but district-wide, a little bit of an uptick in cases that we hadn't seen in probably most of the summer. I think maybe Littleton's getting a case a week in the past couple of weeks. So I don't think anything crazy. It's just we're seeing more than we had been seeing. Whether that's, I don't know what it could be related to. I just figured I'd let you know that we're seeing that little bit of an uptick. The state published the policies for the remote learning sites. I don't know if you had maybe remembered from another meeting. Parents are looking for places for children to go who can't go to school and they need to go to work when the school's not open. So the state has a policy essentially for these remote learning sites. I know Park and Rec is looking to set one up. The policy just came out this afternoon. I've scanned through it. I know Park and Rec is kind of hot and heavy to get this thing set up. But I have a bunch of questions and I'll address those. Park and Rec.
Did Dr. Clenchy, did he sign off? Was it there, if he wanted it, you could go ahead and have it done? Did he do any of that yet?
He was in the email conversations today. It's like many things, there's a process involved and I'm not sure. I mean, I get the process, but I don't think it's that clear. So the municipal CEO, so whether it's your selectman or town administrator, is supposed to appoint a municipal agent, essentially, if you will, authority to kind of approve all of these things. I don't know if all of that stuff's been done, and there's a list of requirements that come along with it. So again, conversations to have with Parks and Rec on that.
Okay, great.
And that's it.
Great. Do you know anything about the flu clinics at all that they've that Park and Rec? Because I guess they're full already, or they've been spoken for.
I don't know about Park and Recs, but we're setting up one as we always do for the town, and it'll be held at the fire station. The flu clinic schedule is posted on our website, the times and dates. So I've been working with Scott, and we'll hammer out the details to do it. And again, it's what we're trying to do is encourage kind of a split in people. So if you're a person at risk, the first couple of hours of the clinic are for you primarily to come and get vaccinated. And then after that, we really try to, since H1N1, try to provide vaccination clinics for parents that can get their kids vaccinated. So the second half of the clinic is really designed to do that.
You know, I know that and the school-age children are supposed to be vaccinated by December 1st. Is that what it is?
I believe the end of December.
End of December.
Yeah.
Is that also for kids going remote, or is that just for kids that are going to be doing hybrid?
I think it's for all children, because I think, and I can't know what they're thinking, but I think at some point the state's like kids may either be remote or they may be hybrid or they may be in person. So get it vaccinated, and that hopefully protects.
Great. Okay. Anybody else have any questions or comments? Mike?
This is for Jim. I take it that the few cases in the district that have ticked up, those are being traced?
They are.
And what do you estimate when we'll get some idea of the result of that tracing, whether or not it came from one or just a scattered sources?
So just kind of generically, when talking with the public health nurse, we have, it seems like family a group in one town, like parents and a child, like an older teenager was a case. We had one that came in today, was a child in a daycare, and they got a bunch of contact tracing to do. One positive, but a lot of contact tracing. We had one that was a couple of families that went on vacation, and they got more than they bargained for on that. So again, we're seeing dribs and drabs of things. They're still small enough that it doesn't seem like there's any one thing that it's tying to. It just seems that, the more we're out and about, the more we seem to come into contact with somebody who may have it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm watching for. It's
Yeah.
not, yep, it's the relaxation factor. Yep.
One of the things I'm a little concerned is how colleges are going to handle people who test positive at colleges. There's some talk out there, and I don't know how it'll come down, and probably college to college specific, that it might be better to have the kids remain on campus, kind of weather it out there, as opposed to coming home and bringing it home to their parents and the rest of the siblings and families at the house. So we'll have to kind of keep an eye on that, how that's happening.
Yeah, it's a mess.
Yes.
It's a mess.
Hopefully messages like Northeastern will get across to people. It's like, when we say don't party, we mean don't party or you get to go home.
It can be rather expensive.
Yes.
Cost a whole semester tuition.
Yes.
My daughter's at Western New England as a freshman, and if they get sick, they're going to stay on campus.
Okay.
Which I don't know how I feel about that. I kind of want her home, but
As a parent, I'm sure that's a different calculus. Absolutely.
yeah, I totally get it. It's a great idea, but
Kevin or Gino, do you guys have any questions for Jim?
No question. Thank you, Annie.
Just Jim, thank you for your email regarding the guidance that you've received on the air quality for schools and reopening and things like that. I was just curious as to the update number 67 that we received. I guess it was probably right after Labor Day weekend, in regards to the minimum requirements for the acronym is ASHRAE.
ASHRAE?
Yeah. And the what I was reading there was that the minimum air exchange rate for any HVAC system should be 2 air exchanges per hour. Do you know of any reports or anything? I know Mr. Marks has been working diligently to sort of get an engineer in there to figure out the air exchange rates in all the classrooms, just if nothing else for peace of mind for folks that are going to be in there. Do you know? Do you have any update on that?
I do not. So, I mean, one of the things is you've got fairly new buildings in the district, and I would imagine those buildings had design parameters. So whether they can put their hands on what the system's like at the high school, and I'm trying to think, what they were actually designed to do.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you need to have somebody on site probably to get an idea if they're still doing what they were designed for, and how adding the increased filtering, the MERV 13 filters, how that may affect that. I think, again, part of DESI's recommendations was to try to pull in as much fresh air as possible. So hopefully that accomplishes, whether it's 2 air changes or more, hopefully that accomplishes that.
Yeah, and with the windows open, it should be way more than.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you're running those ventilators, so it's pulling in complete fresh air as opposed to trying to mix the air, not recirculate it, one would think you're getting, because I don't think they're designed that way, just because buildings are designed for energy efficiency also.
Right.
I would imagine you've met that and more.
I heard a rumor the MERV filters are on back order. Are they?
Probably. Yeah. Well, as soon as, someone recommends that you need this, everybody goes out and gets them. And, kind of like masks were and toilet paper were. I mean, it's just all of a sudden they're a demand.
Are the 11s better than the 13s or 13s better than the 11s?
I believe the higher the number, the better.
Okay.
And again, they have to be designed with your system. If you have an old system, it may not handle something that's just because it's trying to push through a better filter, if you will, or more something's filtering out smaller particles.
Yeah, my wife works for a school district not too far from Littleton, and they received, actually, I think the school district actually posted on their website this really comprehensive report on air quality in all the classrooms and all the buildings in the entire district. I should forward that over to you. You might just find it interesting.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I would imagine schools have engaged their HVAC systems folks just to make sure I would imagine they probably do that at some point in time during the summer, just any kind of maintenance that needed to be done or updates that need to be done. But in this year here, one would think that they're out looking for other things too, to make sure that they can meet whatever standards that are coming along.
I'm sure they're
Or
so busy.
modified to do that, yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, James and Mary, have you gotten in touch with your engineer yet? You have to, yep.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. We called him and he said he's trying to get on to the meeting too. Again, he's having the same kind of trouble we have where the Zoom link didn't work. And so he's trying to dial in. But with that, we talked to him at least 5 to 10 minutes ago.
Okay,
I would
Kirby.
assume he would have been able to get in.
Did you try, James, did you try going on to the website and the agenda on the website? Littleton,
What, the
Mass? Littleton,
Yeah, I
Mass?
did that. Yeah, the link still isn't active. When I opened up the PDF file, the link wasn't active to go anywhere. I couldn't even highlight it and copy it.
He could just go on to Zoom and type in the meeting ID and password from join a meeting.
Kirby, there's a call-in user on the attendees list.
Yes, I'm happy to allow them to talk if that's what you would like, ma'am.
Oh, just to see if that, I'm sorry, James, what was his name? Schofield?
Schofield, yeah.
David.
Find out if that's him in the call-in.
Yeah, I've just done that. Call-in user number 1. Are you Mr. Schofield?
Oh, boy.
Call-in user number 1. Are you Mr. Schofield?
Hey, we can hear you. We can still hear you if that's what we're supposed to.
Yes, you are.
Okay.
I'm just trying to see whether or not the other call-in person was the person you were expecting, sir.
Okay.
And so far, I've not gotten a response to my query.
You may not know how to do it.
I would be surprised given an engineer.
Okay.
This is reason number 65 to switch to Google Meet. It's encrypted end to end. And never mind. That was...
Thank you, Michael.
So
Do we have an email address, Janet, that we could send him the credentials?
Yes, I'll email him.
Okay, thank you. That's the piece that I was missing.
So, do you have it? Design?
Jim, do you have any comments on the septic design, or should we wait until the engineer designer comes back on?
I mean, it would be good. I mean, if he can't get on, I'm happy to present it to the board. What I don't know is if we have the notices to the abutters, because it is the fill to the lot line. I can certainly speak to the plan. I can present it to the board, and if the board wants to consider voting on it, conditioned on making sure we get all the documentation we need.
Okay, all right.
That's up to you. But if you want to give him a chance to pipe in, it really should be him that presents it. But I'm happy to for the Machadas.
Sure. Why don't we go ahead?
Can somebody actually do the shared screen and put the plan up? It may be easier for the board if.
I could if I had your plans.
All right. So I have the plans on an email, but I have no idea how to get them.
Okay, I can give it a whack.
Okay.
Let me see if I can dig it out. I have it encrypted, so we'll see. It might take me a few seconds to get it free of the world.
Then Janet's September 3rd email, Board of Health meeting 9/9/20.
Let's see if I can.
Attached to the agenda and supporting documents.
Here we go. Hang on, folks. It's getting interesting. Oh, Jesus.
I have it if you want.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah,
Okay, go ahead.
let me just. I don't know if I do or not. Where's my, okay.
I've just sent the email to all of you, so you should all be popping it out.
Can you see that?
Here we go. Nice. Thank you. Thank you.
Nice job. Was that Louise?
Yes.
Good job.
So they have a house at almost at the top of Dahlia Drive. And it's like real close to the top. Existing house, septic system failed Title V inspection. They need to replace it. So we did do soil testing out there. I think it was back in either March or April. It was in April. Water tables, for that hill, it's not too bad. The perk rate again wasn't too bad. They have a little bit of space. The lot's kind of L-shaped, so the system's almost in kind of the L itself. Here's the, I don't know if you can see my cursor going around it. Here's
Mr. Graffi, Mr. Schofield has joined the group and he should be able to
Yes,
speak.
I'm here. Sorry about that. I had some technical difficulties. So I could, if you like, Jim, I can just pick up where you're
please.
leaving off. All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for the brief introduction. This is David Schofield, representing Jim and Mary Machado. Yeah, so as Jim was saying, we did have we had pretty high groundwater. It's fairly that hill is just pretty tough. I built my brother's house. I've done quite a few systems there, and it's pretty consistent. And I believe we had it. It was in the Jim, was it the 20? Was it in the 28 inch range? Perk test was suitable. Was I believe we were in the 20 minutes an inch range for the soil testing. So I tried my best to keep this by gravity. I'm not a fan of mechanical systems. I'm not a fan of IA mechanical systems or any of that. So I was trying to keep the system by gravity. I was trying to keep it simple. And so we proposed the Geomets system as it provides a 2-foot reduction to groundwater under the remedial use innovative alternative approval letter. So basically the system existing sewer comes out more on the right rear of the property, down at a far lower elevation. We are proposing to raise the building sewer up and coming more out of the center of the structure, center left, I would say, and then going to a septic tank and then flowing by gravity to a distribution box and then into 3 rows of the Geomet system. I don't know if you're familiar with that or you want me to speak to that, but I can certainly do that if you'd like me to do it. So yeah, the grading, I know Littleton is very concerned about the grading and impermeable barriers. These systems are allowed, not in this circumstance, but for pressure dose systems, they have a 2-foot breakout distance. But this has to meet typical Title V breakout requirements with the 15-foot. So it does require a small amount of fill, as close as 6.3 feet from the property line. It's a very, very small amount of fill. It's less than 6 inches in that area. But it is indeed there is some filling that goes on, but it's really not really a significant change of grading from what's there. The direction is still in I'll call it pretty much a due north direction. And so the two things that are before the board, the filling within the property line and the use of the barrier with 5 feet off the edge of the leaching field.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Schofield?
Kind of a tight.
I have a question.
Sure, go ahead, Louise.
So it looks like you're changing the location of the sewer into the house?
The sewer coming out of the house, yes. We come out, you can see at the right rear, it's approximately 5 to 6 feet from the right rear corner of the building, and we're gonna raise that up. We're gonna get a licensed plumber in there to raise the building sewer and then come out the back. It's a little tighter than I had anticipated when I was doing the testing, but it does fit in there with a minimal amount of grading toward the property line.
Anybody else? Mike, Kevin, Gino?
How many bedroom? 3 bedroom?
There's existing 3 bedrooms, staying a 3-bedroom.
I got it.
Two
Small
questions.
lot. You got a small lot, but you're doing pretty good job.
Yeah, it's a little bigger than some in that area, but there's high groundwater, which makes it tough.
Right. I understand that.
Mr. Schofield, what do you gain by using the Geomet versus Presby in this situation?
Well, the Presby's got a little higher profile to it, and you invert height is one thing. With the Geomet, it's a 7-inch invert from the bottom of the leaching field. With the Presby, it's a 13-inch invert. So that it just would push things up in the air a little bit from a invert perspective and also from a finished grade perspective. So this was the lowest profile system that's out there.
Even if you got the 2-foot groundwater offset, you'd still be like, what, 6 or 7 inches higher? Is that?
No, this gets the 2-foot offset like the Presby.
No, if you went with the Presby and you got the 2-foot offset.
Yes.
You would still.
Yeah, apples to apples, right. 2-foot offset. This is lower than the Presby.
Yeah. And why is there any reason why it can't be kicked over, 4 more feet to the, I guess it would be southwest, so you can get
southwest. Well, yes, because.
Yeah, that was my question, Kevin, too.
Yeah, so the story is, I'd love to kick it that way, but we have a class 2 soil, which means that the higher I go with the field, the higher the system's got to go, because groundwater follows the contour. I don't know. I hold that pretty strictly. So the highest point that I hit, I have to design for. So that's what I did. And this is actually designed for higher than the test holes. So yeah, if I kicked it that way, the grade would go up. So it would be it wouldn't be a gain at all. And the system would effectively be higher. If you follow, I can re-explain that if you want, but
Leave it as it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's, with the Presby, you step it down. With the Geomet, maybe you can't do that. So it's.
Right.
I can do that with the Geomet, but I spoke to Jim about that, and he preferred that I provide a little more offset to groundwater. I think I don't want to speak for you, Jim, but I think that was we had discussed that in our emails, and I think he chose not to do that.
More's better.
Yeah, so you can step it. You can step it with these systems as well, like the Presby. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Presby, but I have a palette of I've got my palette of things for different lots, and I'm not a cookie cutter designer in any fashion. I try to tailor it to the specific needs of the lot.
My question was, could you just rotate it a little bit clockwise to?
Yeah, the same phenomena. I'm sorry, I hope I didn't interrupt you. But if I rotate it, I kick the corner that I'm rotating up the hill. I have to design for that point being above groundwater. So it just brings me up in the air more.
Okay.
So I have to follow the contours. I have to follow the contours as best I can to minimize the contour that I hit with my leaching field.
Okay. Jim, any questions? Or actually, Mike, did you ask a question, Mike Belden?
Nope, I'm all set.
Okay. Mike, your comments, please. I mean, Jim, your comments, please.
So the Geomet's a fairly new system. There's probably 3 of them now in town. All 3 of them are pressure dosed, which I guess I would prefer that, but they do allow the use of the gravity. Again, the system that's in the ground here is in the groundwater. Probably one of the reasons it failed. The new system will be, at or above grade, so we'll know it won't be in the high water table. The grading, it should be minimal grading. If you look kind of to the south of the long edge of the system, you're at contour, the contour line's about 101. That contour gets dragged over the system and may raise this, raise the system in that area about a foot to finish grade. So it's not a ton of grading. So I guess I don't have that big a deal with the grading based on just how little it's coming up. The 2 foot groundwater, that's as Mr. Schofield mentioned, the approval of the system by the state allows boards of health, the language is the board may, the local approving authority may allow up to a 2 foot reduction. So you don't get it automatically. The Board of Health certainly can consider conditions on site as to whether they feel a 2 foot groundwater offset is appropriate, a reduction of offset is appropriate in the situation here. I don't necessarily have an issue with it because, again, it's going to be just about at grade. The area is served by town water, so we're not dealing with wells in the area. And it certainly will be, this design will be better than what's in the ground there now. So, but again, my preference is always the pressure dosing of these.
Yeah, why would this not be pressure dosed, I guess?
Because it's a mechanical system and in pumps fail. I've had my last 3 callbacks on systems have all been for dealing with pumps. And, I just, if I'm pumping, I like pressure dose, but I don't like pumping. Pumping is mechanical, pumps break. That's why I try to avoid pumps at all costs.
I understand that. Jim, do you think this system works as efficiently without a pressure dose? I don't know that there's history or we've seen examples of them not being pressure dosed. Everything we've approved has been pressure dosed to my knowledge. So I don't know.
That's right. I think I've seen a couple, maybe 3 that are gravity. I don't know. They're new enough now. I think the first one I saw was over in Chemlock, and I haven't had any callbacks, but that's pressure dosed. So I don't really have an answer for you. It is approved by the state for gravity, so that's not an issue. It's approved.
Right.
And if God forbid something happens and something fails and the gravity piece of it doesn't work and it doesn't get the effluent to where it needs to go in time to get it to all disperse in the ground, what arrangements can be made now just for a little bit of foresight so that if we need to do some pressure dosing or we need to install some sort of other assistance, how can we fit that in? Can we accommodate that? Just looking down the road at a new technology that we haven't yet approved as with being gravity fed.
Yes. So one of the comments that Jim suggestions that Jim made at the revision, and this appears to be oh no, it's on this. I'm sorry. This is now plumbed for a hydro air system in the future. So if the it's pretty unique. Well, it is unique to Geomet. I think it's a smart idea. Is they don't suggest it for this system, but for systems that are put in directly on the natural soil, they suggest that you plumb it so that it can have an aerobic positive pressure oxygen feed through the system, basically pumping air back through the system to rejuvenate them if something were to happen. I think it's really a pretty smart idea. So this system is plumbed at the ends so that it can be vented, and in that a hydro air pump can effectively blow air through the system to rejuvenate it. So it's pretty slick and well thought out. I think
so it'll mimic a Presby technology if that sort of thing is integrated.
They don't have that in Presby, no.
Not the pumped air, but just the airflow through the system.
Yeah, they do it passively. They don't have an active positive pressure system. They do it with the differential venting, which I think is a pretty good idea. I'm all for venting. I like that. These are very shallow, so the idea is that they get oxygen transferred down through the soil. But this added hydro air is another thing that can be added at a later date if it is deemed not to be doing sufficiently. But they've got a lot of these systems on the ground, and there's a lot of them going in.
Jim, you consider this treated?
I don't, but because nobody's really explained to me why it gets treatment.
Right.
But the state obviously does because they've granted it in that IA technology. So.
Mhm. Who at the
Right. It has been through the. Oh, sorry. It has been through the IA testing protocol and has to meet their threshold. I forget what it is. It's a 30. I think it's 30 parts BOD, 30 parts TSS. Has to meet that below the system to provide equal protection to it as a traditional system would.
Any other questions or comments? I see on your the letter that you sent to the board that the abutters have all been notified.
Yes, across the street and direct abutters. Yes.
Any abutters here?
I'll mail those in.
Okay. Are there any abutters here tonight that have any questions or comments?
The only hand that's still raised is James and Mary. Did you have questions?
Russ? Are you talking to James and Mary?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you have any questions?
I just wanted to say, the original system on the house is a cesspool at the other end of the property. There is no leaching field. And behind this new one that we want to put in, I own the property from Dahlia Drive out to Orchid Drive. So there's a 60 by 100 foot length plot behind the field that we're talking about putting in now. So I just assumed I had plenty of room to put a new system in. Am I misunderstanding?
Your engineer says that this location is the best that he can do with the elevations, and that because of his decision, you're close to a lot line, and you need some variances approved tonight.
Yes, I understand that.
It's her lot line.
I didn't know if you realized that I had, there was additional property behind that. I know it can't be moved, but if it had to be extended or whatever they were just explaining, I do have room behind this current leach field he's talking about to expand or whatever it has to have done to fix anything.
Right. It's a situation where you try and keep it simple and not go in and start deforesting areas that aren't deforested. And this is it was a little tighter than I had originally anticipated in that area. The property line when they came back were a little tighter than I thought they were, but it's a system that works with minimal impact and is certainly a better option than the existing cesspool. Yeah, it's located I'm just showing the general area where the system is. That's not intended to say that's it. It's a leaching field. I didn't intend to do that. So, but I think this is a good design. It provides good treatment, keeps the effluent out of groundwater, and provides a separation even after the treatment of the system. So that was the thinking in this.
Okay. Anybody else have questions or comments?
No, thank you. The best he can do is like that. Thank you.
So we need a motion to approve the additional 2-foot reduction in the separation distance between the bottom of the leaching field, the estimated high groundwater.
How many feet is it? I'll make a motion, but how many?
2-foot reduction. 2-foot reduction, so it's a
Madam Chair.
2-foot offset from estimated seasonal high. I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt you.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the system as presented, as long as they have the future in there for the airflow if needed.
Second,
All right, we'll take a roll call. Kevin,
Kevin Baker, yes.
Gino,
yes.
Louise, You have to unmute.
Wish him luck.
Louise Nichols, yes.
Mike Zeldin
Mike Zeldin, yes.
and Lisa Flanagan, yes.
Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, board members, Jim and Janet. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys. All right. So that's our only agenda item tonight. So we've done the COVID update. So how about some minute approvals? So we've got minutes from August 26th to approve.
I'd like to make a motion to
Approve.
accept the minutes dated August 26th and September 2nd.
I second.
Gino seconded, so we'll get a roll call. Kevin Baker,
Kevin Baker abstained.
Gino Fraglioni,
Yes. Gina Farley.
Nicole, Louise Nichols,
Louise Nichols, yes.
Mike Zeldin,
Mike Zeldin, yes.
and Lisa Flanagan, yes. So, and then another set of meetings for September 2nd, last week.
I did them both.
You made a motion to accept both? I was just separating them. Okay. All right. So on to member comments. Anybody have any comments, anything they want to talk about tonight?
No, much.
I made my comments to Jim during administrative matters, sorry.
I don't have anything.
The only comment I have is, according to the book by Mr. Woodward, it shows the consequences when someone's in a position of responsibility fails in it, with disastrous effects.
Are you talking about me or Louise?
No, he's been
Somebody a little higher up.
the recent nominee for the Nobel Prize, believe it or not,
No way.
all the way.
Oh, unbelievable. Okay. So now we're going to move on to, is everybody okay? On to public
Yep.
comments. So is there anybody in the participants or the attendees that have any comments for the Board of Health? You can raise your hand now.
There are no hands raised, Madam Chair.
Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Are we done?
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
I beat you, Kevin. I beat you, Mikey.
Delvin got it. You got it.
So who seconded?
Gino.
Gino? Okay. Sorry, Kevin. So Kevin Baker,
Kevin Baker, yes.
Gino,
Gino, yes.
Louise,